Could the thing you've been doing for 40 years be quietly working against your own health? What if a single small habit is wearing down your circulation, blurring sensation, letting confidence fall away without you even noticing? And what if tonight you only needed to change one tiny detail, gentle enough, respectful enough of your body, to wake tomorrow and write down a clearly different result? After 60, the body changes tempo. It isn't your fault, it's biology. I'm here not to judge, but to walk with you, to show you how to touch yourself more safely, more softly, with more feeling, so the most private part of your life can return to being your own quiet haven. I am a urologist, and what 2 decades have taught me is this. When we stop forcing faster, tighter, must finish, the body begins to answer in a language that is slow yet deep, warm yet steady. If these opening words touch the worry you've been carrying, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And to help me understand you better, leave a gentle little number in the comments. 1 if you found it helpful, 0 if not, with just the single word stuck. I read every comment so I can speak more precisely to where you're caught next time. No pressure, no judgment, just the two of us as tuning the radio knob back to the right frequency. Now, before we change technique, we'll walk through the core. Why the body after 60 responds differently, from hormones less spontaneous to small blood vessels less elastic to nerves needing more time to hear the signal. Understand that new rhythm, and you'll know why slowing down isn't a step back, but a way home. Are you trying to make your body speak an old language? Back then, everything arrived like a spark. The moment your hand touched, there was an answer, as if the familiar button would stay in the same place forever. Then one morning you realize the familiar song has slowed by half a beat, quieter now, as if behind a thin layer of mist. What changed first wasn't you, but the biology behind you. Testosterone doesn't disappear. It just stops pouring as generously as it did at 30, so desire is less spontaneous and needs a gentler prelude. The tiny vessels in the penis, the little roads that once sprang back like strings, are now less supple. They need more time to fill enough and hold enough. Peripheral nerve conduction no longer leapfrogs like it did in youth. Signals flow more slowly and need enough time for the brain to piece them back together into music. If you try to crank up the volume with force and speed, the song only grows more distorted. So the right question isn't, why am I getting weaker, but where do I need to retune the frequency? Imagine an old radio. The song is still playing, just half a notch off. Instead of turning it up, we gently turn the dial. A body after 60 prefers touches with clear edges, deep breathing, warm light, and an unhurried presence. Do you? Remember the last time you let your breath travel the full path, in through the chest and out the mouth? Just 5 cycles, and the knees stop bracing, the shoulders fall away from the ears, the hand becomes less overeager. At this age, pleasure rarely comes from a blitz. It comes from a small, steady ritual, like brewing a pot of tea in the late afternoon. You may feel uneasy that what used to be press and go now needs a different opening. That unease isn't shame. It's a new map waiting to be read. I've heard 70-year-old men whisper, "I thought I was broken. Turns out I was just off beat." My reassurance isn't sugar. It's practice. Tonight, change just one very small thing, and tomorrow morning, write down 1 line. If these lines touch the worry you're carrying, subscribe so you don't miss the next part. And so I can know where I'm speaking to you most precisely, leave a gentle comment. 1 if it's helpful, 0 if not, with the single word stuck. I read every comment, so next time I can loosen the knot in the right place. What's coming isn't a lecture, but a way for us to pass through the night more kindly. Before we talk technique, we need to look squarely at a few habits that seem harmless, but quietly push the body away from pleasure. Do you dare to examine your own hands and see how many times we've tensed up simply from the fear of losing sensation? A body after 60 is no longer a machine that can take the commands, faster, tighter, must finish. It is a garden that needs a gardener who knows which season calls for a light watering and when to step back so the soil can breathe on its own. Out of habit, many men squeeze harder when they feel sensation slipping, thinking that clenching will make the music louder. But the skin of the penis is thinner now and has less natural oil. An overzealous hand is like yanking a painting on rice paper off its frame. The tear isn't obvious right away, but it will sting the next day. Capillaries get compressed, neural responses burn out temporarily, and a quiet patch is left behind. Have you ever finished and felt hollow, as if you just won a race no one cheered for? That feeling isn't defeat. It's a signal that you've been using the wrong language. The same goes for speed. When conduction is slower, ramping up too soon keeps the brain from packaging scattered signals into a rounded song. The result is a flat, frustrated quiet, like listening to a radio inside a field of static. Slow is not a step back. Slow is giving sensation the right of way so it can take shape. What about lubrication? Many men think that's for someone else, Dees, and overlook a key that makes the skin open instead of close. As testosterone declines, the sebaceous glands are less generous. Dry friction doesn't just sting in the moment, it leaves a delayed prickling. A thin layer of unscented, water-based gel, applied early like a polite invitation, tells the nerves, this is a safe place. And that invisible clock always hanging on your shoulder, each time you set the target must finish, the body gets hurled into fight or flight. Adrenaline draws the curtain and pleasure steps back. We think we've taught the body hurry up, but in truth, we've just flipped the breaker and cut the music. And most dangerous of all, autopilot. The hands do the old thing while the mind has left the room. That's when the body gets treated like a switch, not like an old friend who deserves to be heard. If among these lines you recognize a habit of your own, name that exact habit in the comments, just a short keyword, and I'll pin a follow-up segment to the top of the next video to speak directly to your knot. Don't blame yourself. Habits are for adjusting, not for shame. The good news is we don't have to tear everything down. We only need to restore a rhythm that fits. Right now, I want to lead you through a sequence you can do tonight. Light, coherent, with room for breath and presence. Are you ready to put the clock in a drawer, at least for 20 minutes that belong only to you? Begin the way every kind ritual begins. Set boundaries for time and quiet. Don't let your phone hold the preset right to interrupt your body. Silence it, draw the curtains. Let the room lose some of its chill. Warm light is a safe greeting, either very soft background music or complete silence. Use whichever makes your shoulders drop. Before the hand touches, give 5 breaths to travel the full distance, counting slowly in your head as if counting the age of a close friend. When the lungs stop hurrying, the hand will stop tensing. Then bring on a layer of water-based gel before the body even has time to ask. Don't be stingy because it isn't engine oil for a machine, it's water for the soil. Spread it wide, not just in one spot. Let the skin understand it's being invited into a conversation, not an inspection. Don't rush straight to the center like someone cutting across a field. Work like a craftsperson, take the long way around, test light pressure and then medium, test the angle of your hand, test different warmths. Sensation is a small wave that needs a flat lake. Give it time and it will return. When you see the wave dip, don't mistake it for failure. Pause a beat, slow down, and breathe. Many are surprised. With just a short pause, the body self-adjusts and the music returns without added force. If you notice, whenever you hold your breath, your body's rhythm holds with it. So breath is the chord you hold, not speed. There will be nights when you'll feel enough before the finish line. Allow that to happen the way you allow a conversation to end when both sides already understand each other. There will be nights you want to pause to make a warm glass of water, then come back. Let your body know it's being treated like a friend, not a tool. Within this sequence, there's a small detail often forgotten, but it changes more than you think. How you place your body in space. A hard chair and a hunched posture are like laying stones over blood vessels and nerves. Pleasure, which needs flow, doesn't like being blocked. In a moment, I'll speak in detail about posture, surfaces, and the gentle supports you can think of as hearing aids for the skin. For now, if you feel you already have in mind a modest ritual you can do tonight, 5 breaths, early lubrication, circling instead of charging straight, pausing a beat when the wave dips. Write down the time you'll give yourself. Tomorrow morning, just one short line. Are your hands warm? Does your head feel lighter? Is there less of that hollow feeling after you're done? That is the kindest data you can give yourself. And if these lines are making you think about the hard chair in the room, about the way you hunch as if guarding a secret but end up unintentionally compressing yourself, stay for one more section. What comes next will be so simple it's hard to believe. Yet it's often the stone you can pull straight out of the current. Change a posture, change a surface, and the sensation will change. There are nights when you've done everything right, deep breathing, going slow, early lubrication, and yet your body still answers reluctantly. Often the problem isn't in the hand, but in how we place the whole body in space. A hard chair, a flat seat with a slight dip, a back rounded as if protecting a secret, the neck craning forward, the belly unconsciously bracing. Just that much is enough to press on the tiny roads that carry blood and nerve signals through the pelvis. No river flows beautifully when someone drops a slab of stone across its middle. Pleasure is the same. The first thing to change isn't technique, it's posture. Picture a soft back chair with lumbar support, a seat surface soft enough not to press on the sit bones, a small cushion behind your lower back so the spine can lie easy, both feet planted steadily on the floor or a low step. If you lie down, try side lying with a thin pillow between your knees so the hips don't flex too much, or lying on your back with a slight prop under the calves so the knees sit a little higher. Just a few centimeters can change how blood moves and how the nerves hear the skin's voice. Tip the head back a touch, let the shoulders fall from the ears, keep the chin from bearing down on the neck. The body immediately understands the message. No more alarm. Surface is a language too. Rough fabrics, stiff synthetics, sheets that are too cold, all of them tell the skin this is not a safe place. A well-washed cotton blanket, a thick terry towel dried in the air, a thin flannel sheet with a hint of warmth, those seemingly trivial details open a soft bank where the nerves can settle. Some people only need to replace a hard chair with a thin foam pad laid over the old seat, and the sensation changes. Others just pull a towel over the hips to ease the feeling of being watched, even when the room is empty, and the brain stops bracing against the sense of being judged, allowing blood to flow more naturally. As for gentle aids, think of them as reading glasses for the skin. Not to replace the hand, but to add, now and then, a soothing texture the bare hand can't keep consistent. A sleeve warmed in warm water and wrung to comfortably damp, a soft cover with a smooth surface and a few very light creases, an elastic fabric loop worn over the hand to reduce direct friction. These are ways to add background sound to the music without turning up the volume. Safety is the core. Don't use materials with sharp odors, sharp edges, or that heat up too quickly. Don't mix unfamiliar oils on thin skin. Avoid silicone on silicone if you use items made of that material because they can adhere and tear the surface. With lubricant, a water-based option is the gentlest, unscented, colorless, easy to wash off, and it should be present from the start, more a polite greeting than a firefighting measure. Afterward, warm water and a mild soap are enough to return everything to a clean, lightly dry state with no leftover chemicals that make the skin go quiet. What posture is right? The one in which you don't notice you're holding your breath. If the chest is still compressed, if the belly is still clenched, if the buttocks are still bearing down on the surface as if propping up the whole room, that isn't it yet. Back up a little and fine-tune the details. Shift the hips by half a finger width, lower the knees a touch, change the angle of the wrist, change the direction of the light. Not to be fussy, so the body can trust that we respect it enough to notice the things that seem insignificant. That respect creates a sense of safety, and safety is good soil for pleasure. There are nights when the only change is moving from hunching forward to reclining, and suddenly the waves of sensation return like a warm shower in the distance. Some people only need to slide a pillow under the calves and the blood in the pelvis quietly changes course so firmness no longer comes and goes like an impatient guest. Some find that wrapping a warm towel around the hips helps the body hear the invitation better. Warmth isn't a trick, it's the oldest signal of safety. If you've ever blamed yourself for not being like before, try blaming the chair first. And if tonight you notice one detail in your space that's making things harder for your body, write a line in the comments, change chair, prop pillow, add warm towel. Those plain keywords help me know which part of the room needs to be addressed. When the setting has softened, the music will return. But before we go further, we need to stand on a narrow bridge where many people have misstepped without realizing it. For a moment, forget technique, posture, gel, and lighting. There is a very thin boundary line which, if you step across it, wears down not only sensation but the trust between you and your body. I call it the boundary moment, the instant you want to push a little harder because you fear the wave will die, want to go a little faster because you fear the finish is far, want to prove that you're still the same. Right there, the body folds like a pocket knife. The glands switch to defense mode, the vessels constrict, the nerves furl their flags, and what remains is the soft hum of a radio on the wrong frequency. The dramatic question I want to ask here isn't to scare you, but to help you save yourself from the spiral. If tonight you repeat the same old habit, what will wear out first? Sensation, trust, or the peace of a small gland that quietly protects you every day? Stop here, take one breath, then come bait. It may sound small, but it's the cord that pulls you back from the edge. The boundary is not on the skin. It lies in the decision in your head. I've seen many people, just for a second's urge to prove something, pull the body across that line, leaving the next day a nameless sting, a hollow that's hard to hide, and a suspicion that I'm broken. No, you are not broken. You only misstepped by half a step. That half step can be given back with half a breath. Will you try? The emotional peak of this video isn't a lightning-fast promise. It's a gentle but firm warning. Every time you go harder to hear louder, you're twisting the radio knob in the wrong direction. No device can tolerate being cranked to maximum forever, your body even less. And here's the quiet cue many miss. The tiny sound just before the radio turns to full hum is exactly when you must step back a notch. On the skin, it's when you feel sensation shift from warm to dry, from full to flat, from inviting to pushing away. In the chest, it's when the breath turns skewed and rushed. In the head, it's when an old thought surfaces, I have to finish. Simply noticing those small signals can save a whole season. At this boundary, try a minimalist ritual. Take your hand away from the center, place your palm on your chest or belly. Count 3 slow breaths, feel the ribs open and close like a calm sea. Then return, but with a different intention. Not to arrive, but to be. There is nothing to prove. No one is grading. One time not crossing the boundary, and your body's trust rises by half a notch. Do that many times, and the frequency finds its right place again. If you've read this far and realize you often live on the far side of that line, leave a gentle number so I know where to go deeper in the next video. 1. If you've ever managed to stop in time, 0 if you often misstep with the word stuck. I read to find with you the softest slope downward, because right after this section, we'll talk about what decides whether you keep scoring your own body, and that is the key that truly opens the door. There is no session that's a total loss if you stop calling it a defeat. The body ages in its own decent way. It no longer wants to race, it wants to walk with you along a shaded path. What wears us out isn't the body's breath, but the mind's murmured verdicts. Must be like this, must be like before, must finish, must be on time, must prove it. Every must is a stone slipped into your pocket, and time rips the pocket open. Try swapping must for enough. Enough here isn't careless, it's a way of saying that tonight's goal is connection, not completion. If you feel enough before the finish line, that isn't failure. It's your body saying, this is just right for today. If you pause and come back an hour later, that isn't avoidance. It's respect for your biological rhythm. I remember a 71-year-old man who called after 2 weeks of trying the slow ritual. He said, I don't free fall after every rushed attempt anymore. I usually stop, take a warm sip of water, step out to the balcony for 5 minutes, then return. I never imagined that unfinished could feel this peaceful. Peace, it turns out, is what we kept hunting for at the finish, while it was lying all along beside the road. When the mind stops pinning a scorecard onto the body, a pool of warmth spreads beneath the breastbone, and the hand naturally knows to soften by 1 notch. If you want the mind to grade less, give it a job, count the breaths, listen to a very soft instrumental track, plant a gentle question in your head, what would be enough here? Or write a sentence ahead of time to whisper to the body before you begin. We're not competing, we're conversing. That sentence is the anchor. Each time the old thought rises, I have to finish, you take 1 step back toward the sentence like a rower checking the oar when a counterwave arrives. Little by little, the body learns that this room is a place where no one is being graded. Then the skin will send a different kind of signal, smooth, rounded. The nerves answer like strings coming up to pitch. The vessels no longer crimp like a hand afraid of the cold. Someone asked, I've been judging myself all my life. How can I stop? You don't have to stop all at once. Just change 1 word on 1 night. Tonight, drop must. Tomorrow, drop on time. The next day, drop like before. The word you set down doesn't leave a hole. It makes space for something else to step in. Presence. And presence is the one asset that doesn't age. If these lines have opened a small quiet for you, write a short sentence you'll say to your body tonight, one that's yours alone, as simple as, we're not competing. Go slow, as far as is enough. I'll gather those sentences in the description as a little handbook of men who know how to respect their bodies. And once the mind has stopped scoring, we're clear-eyed enough to look at something just as practical. When it's time to call a doctor, not to receive a failing grade, but to receive a calmer map for the road ahead. A 30-minute appointment can give you back years of not having to guess. But out of embarrassment, many people wait until everything is truly tangled before they go. Let 4 thresholds be your traveling companions, not as accusations, but as mile markers that help you proactively pull into a rest stop. First is burning, dryness, prickling, or mild pain that lingers even after you've adjusted your hand pressure, lubricated early, and gone slow. Skin after 60 is thin and easily sustains microtrauma. Sometimes a small bout of inflammation is enough to dim sensation. Go early, and a simple regimen plus a few days of care can let the skin settle again. Don't wait until that area speaks in a loud voice. The body only gives a few polite reminders. Second is a sudden mute zone or a complete drop in sensation for a short time. Peripheral nerves, like fine power lines, need to be checked when there are signs of a short. The sooner the better, because nerves love timeliness. Third is when, under calm conditions, with enough sleep, no pressure, and after giving your body affectionate time, you still can't get or keep an erection, even though you could before. At that point, think about circulation and hormones, not masculinity. Some medications you take daily can confuse the vessels. Chronic next-door conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high lipids gradually wear the roads down. A thorough exam gives you a road repair plan, not a sticker slapped on your forehead. Fourth is negative emotion blanketing the journey before, during, or after each time. Guilt, shame, tension, a vague sadness. The psychological and biological layers rarely take separate roads. They overlap like a double quilt. Speaking up doesn't make you weaker. It lets the nervous system stop clamping its mouth shut. A decent doctor won't ask to grade you. They ask to find the route with the fewest potholes. If you're shy about opening up, use a short, prepared line. I've noticed my body responds differently when I'm taking care of myself. Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it goes numb quickly, some nights it's very hard to get or keep an erection, even without pressure. I've tried slowing down and lubricating early. There's a little improvement, but not enough. Could you help me see whether this is normal age-related change or whether there's something we should look into? That sentence carries enough information, without boasting and without putting yourself down. It opens the door to a serious yet gentle conversation. Don't wait for a problem. Health after 60 is like tending a garden in the dry season. Water a little but regularly and visit often. In a single check-in, you might receive extra safety tips for using gentle aids, guidance on which gel suits your skin, which medications you're taking would be better scheduled for morning instead of night, and light pelvic floor exercises that match your breathing. None of this takes anything away from you. It gives back what you thought was lost. If, reading this far, you feel at least one marker applies to you, leave a 1 in the comments so I know which marker to expand on in the next video. If things are still unclear, leave a 0 and the word stuck, and I'll find a way to say it more clearly without making you uneasy. Because right after setting these calming markers, we'll arrive at the most practical and also the gentlest part. A 14-night map where each evening you do one small thing. Each morning you write one small line. But by journey's end, what remains is anything but small. There are things we've heard so many times they feel like truth, but when laid on skin that has seen many seasons, they say doesn't fit. First misconception, the harder the better. The truth is that after 60, skin is thin like rice paper left in the sun, nerves are less impulsive, and blood vessels prefer to be invited rather than pulled. Hand strength is like a hammer, it always wants something to nail. But pleasure now isn't a nail, it's a piece of wood that needs to be smoothed with fine grit sandpaper. Each time we add force to bring the feeling back, we teach the body that to hear music, we must crank the volume to the max. Do that a few times and the ear goes numb, and the music falls silent in a way that's hard to rescue. Second misconception, lubrication is for someone else, not for men. What looks like a spare part is actually the red carpet that lets the nerves step forward without hesitation. When testosterone pours more slowly, sebaceous glands secrete less. Dry friction is like walking in hard sandals over gravel. You can do it, but every step leaves a tiny scrape. Early lubrication isn't cheating, it's polite behavior toward the skin. Smooth it on evenly from the periphery toward the center, like watering a garden in the cool of late afternoon. The soil will open on its own. Third misconception, you have to reach the finish for it to count. When we were young, we measured everything by the finish line. Older, we learned to measure by the stretch of road. A body after 60 doesn't care about clock times. It cares about signal markers, steady breath, shoulders released, warm hands, a light head. Some nights halfway is enough. Some nights taking the long way around feels closer than going straight. If we keep pushing for the finish, adrenaline drops the curtain, the flow tightens, and what's left is a hollow streak. Fourth misconception, posture doesn't matter. Just get it done. Posture is a map. A bad map leads you into a dead end. A hard chair, a rounded back, a held belly. Those are 3 hills that make nerve signals lose their footing. Adjust the backrest, add a pillow, let the chin drop, raise the knees slightly. Small changes like shifting an instrument by 1 notch, and suddenly the notes ring in tune. Fifth misconception, the older you are, the stronger the stimulation must be to feel satisfied. The truth is, the older the body, the more it prefers signals that are clean, clear with ranked rests between them. Sensation waves need a shore to break on. They don't need a storm to shatter. Strong doesn't make deep, strong just makes loud. Depth comes from breath and from your presence inside each movement. Sixth misconception, frequent self-touch damages a certain gland. The body has no grudge against affection. It only protests methods that are rough, rushed, lacking recovery, that put too much pressure on the pelvis with too little water and withheld urination. The trouble isn't the act itself. It's an unlistening tempo plus a context of long sitting on hard surfaces, staying dry too long, and then pouring force onto a thin surface. Seventh misconception, I'm not like before, so any effort is pointless. When we believe that, the body receives the order to retreat. Try changing one word, not as before, but right now. Right now means not forcing it to solve the old problem. We hand it a new one that's easier yet finer. Breathe 3 counts, lubricate early, circle around, pause, turn when you want. The result isn't flashy, but it lasts. If one of these misconceptions sounds like you, don't rush to fix everything tonight. Pick the one thing that's yours to unfasten. Change just one habit. Force, speed, gel, posture, your definition of done, and you'll see the map change color. Tomorrow morning, write 1 short line about the smallest thing that felt different. Less sting, easier breath, less emptiness, or simply feeling 1 notch friendlier toward yourself. If that lands, leave a gentle 1. If you're still stuck on a line, leave a 0 and the word stuck. I'll gather those stucks to pop in the next video one by one, like uncorking a bottle. And before we close this section, I owe you a promise. There's one seemingly harmless habit that sits between how we care for ourselves and how a small gland keeps everything running smoothly. It isn't scary, but if ignored long enough, it becomes a nuisance. We'll cover it in the bridge section right ahead, so you'll know where to stop, where to rest, and how to proceed in a way that keeps both pleasure and peace intact. There's a small habit many gentlemen repeat, not out of malice, only because no one taught another way. We let the body stay dry. We sit for long stretches on hard surfaces. We suppress the urge to use the bathroom. We hurry and then feel remorse. We come back too soon when the pelvis still wants a rest. All of it adds up to a season without rain and a patch of ground that's trampled before the grass can sprout. The prostate doesn't like drama. It likes steady rhythm and pauses. It isn't afraid of self-care. It's afraid of you doing it like a relay race without changing runners. I've met many who changed only a few very small things, drinking water evenly through the day instead of loading up at night, avoiding long sits on hard chairs, especially those extended sessions, without changing posture, not clamping the bladder just to finish a call or another scroll, not using rough, dry force on thin skin, scheduling a rest day if the previous night was a heavy workout. They didn't change who they are. They simply taught the body a dance with stopping points, and what happens afterward doesn't blow everything away, it just clears the dust. The quiet habit I want you to remember tonight has no fancy name. It's the habit of permission. Permit enough water so urine doesn't irritate the bladder. Permit yourself to rise from a hard chair every half hour or so the pelvic floor stops being compressed. Permit a gentle water-based gel so the skin doesn't have to brace. Permit a full night off when the body sends the signal enough. Permit a checkup when the small signals repeat without changing. Permission is the opposite of forcing. Where there is permission, there is flow. You might ask, so is frequent self-touch a bad thing? There is no magic number for everyone. What matters is the tempo. If your tempo has breath, water, soft surfaces, rest intervals long enough for the pelvis to stop flushing, and an ear for small signals, the body will speak in a gentle tongue. If your tempo uses force and dryness to speed up, skips bathroom urges, plants you on a hard chair all afternoon, and then rushes in the evening, the body will answer in clipped tones. At this age, we don't need wild promises, we need a decent map. That map has 3 waypoints. Tend the context, water, chair, lighting, gel. Tend the tempo, slow, steady, with rests. And tend the signals. Go when you need to pee, stop when there's sting, find a guide when patterns repeat. These 3 markers make a shelter where both pleasure and that small gland can dwell. Nothing is mysterious. The only mystery is how often we forget the easiest things. If these lines make you think a bit about how you sit each day, about the hard chair at your desk, about the time you held your urine just because you were in the middle of something, take that as your starting signal. Tonight, when you care for yourself, treat the whole ritual as circulation practice. Enough water, enough breath, enough gel, enough rest. Tomorrow, if the pelvic floor feels less tense, if urination snags less, if there's less nagging discomfort, you're headed the right way. The right way isn't the finish line. The right way is not getting lost in the woods. In the next video, I'll put a magnifying glass on the prostate story, frankly, but without alarm. When to take a day off, when to change the surface, when to call a doctor, and the gentle options for supporting the pelvis without lapsing into showmanship. I won't hand you a long list. I'll ask you to choose one thing tonight, then write 1 line tomorrow morning. If you want me to prioritize long sitting or dryness and force or rest days, leave a 1 with a keyword. If you're still stuck, leave a 0 and the word stuck. I read every word so the next video can land exactly where you stand. We'll close here. Not because the story is over, but because you already have enough to begin. Your body isn't broken, it's just changing seasons. And like every season, what's needed is to swap on a lighter layer, crack a window for air, brew the tea 1 notch warmer, and let out a sigh to lighten things. Tonight, choose just 1 small thing. Less force, slow by 1 notch, lubricate early, change your posture, drink a bit more water, then tomorrow morning write 1 short line so you have gentle evidence that you're moving forward. If these past minutes have left you less tangled, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And so I know I'm speaking to the right place, leave a gentle little number in the comments. 1 if it helped, 0 if not, with the single word stuck, so I can loosen the right knot in the next video. Next to this video is the bridge to the prostate conversation. Go slowly, but go, because the kindness you give your body tonight is the ticket you write for yourself to a peaceful tomorrow. Let's close here, unlike most channels. Not because I promise miracles, but because I'm giving you a small ritual you can do tonight and measure tomorrow morning. Choose just 1 thing. Dial the force down a notch, lubricate earlier, change your posture to ease pressure. Then tomorrow morning, write 1 short line about the smallest thing that felt different. Keep those notes in the PR 14-night map I'll share in the next video. No one is grading you. Only you can see yourself moving forward slowly but surely. We're not going back to 20 here. We're tuning the radio dial so the familiar song returns, warm and clear as it used to be. If this content has left you less tangled, subscribe so you won't miss the next part about the subtle habit that affects the prostate and safer ways suited to your age. And so I can speak more precisely in the next video, leave a gentle little number, 1 if it helped, 0 if not yet, with the single word stuck. I read every comment, adjusting each notch like the keeper of an oil stove on a windy night. You're not alone on this journey. Be kind to your body tonight, and tomorrow will soften by 1 notch.